God got it. Oh.
Music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. Come to you live every weeknight at 9 p.m. At midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific. For about an hour, we talk about guns, and I'm starting off the show here with an upload race. So I started an upload on GunTube.org, which is a decent platform, but slow uploading. So I'm uploading it this way, and this little gizmo here is somehow creeping along and going to tell me how fast it's uploading and what its status is. Well, basically a third, 33% maybe if I'm lucky. And I started this one first. Then I wasn't satisfied with this speed, so I went over to GunStreamer because I wanted to get this video posted before the show. And I posted it there, and it's up to 72%, and I actually have a number instead of some kind of alien graphic. So I can actually see what the hell percentage it's at. Vicious smoking GunTube. So GunTube's over here crawling like an elderly man in a wheelchair, or like an infant baby in a wheelchair but doesn't have long enough legs or arms to use the wheelchair. Where GunStreamer, it's like a little kid, a punk kid on a skateboard just zooming right past him. So what's going on, GunTube? I pay $1 a month for this. $1 a month.
What's GunStreamer? Who does that?
This one's for free. This one is somebody out of Utah. So just some people out of Utah that seem to be nice, but I've never met them. This is nice. I met the guy. This guy's making over $34 a month.
$34 a month, and you can't even have
$34 a month. I don't know what he's spending it on. Loose women and alcohol, probably. Because look at this, the upload speed over here. It's ridiculous. I'm almost done over here, 78%. All right, well, we're going to grow old waiting for that video. But at some time during the show, we'll post that video. And at some other time during the show, somebody out there who wants to see this show keep going, will buy something over at gearwebsites.com, and that'll trigger a complicated series of things to happen across the internet. Jumps all around the internet, and then eventually my phone here will make a noise like cash register. And that's how you get even more fabulous prizes when you order things from gearwebsites.com. And I want to thank people that ordered stuff during the van chat yesterday. People might think, oh, he's being funny or whatever. Like, he doesn't care about $40 or $20 or $19.11 or whatever something costs over there. You couldn't be more wrong. We're literally scraping by, and this is allowing us to continue on some of these projects and not have to work for some pizza place making cartoons of like their, tater tot munchkin who's stealing cheese or something. So I'm able to do stuff for Second Amendment projects for people that are creating other Second Amendment projects, and I really do appreciate that. It's fun. So it's Monday. We're going to talk about Second Amendment stuff, and we got a couple of people joining us. So we got one of our co-hosts, Angelina, out of California. Thanks for joining.
Hello, everybody.
We also have Dead Horse, a regular guest host, I guess, or guest. And I don't know what you're showing us now. Some kind of...
Oh, shit. I was just trying to just show my gun bench while I'm sitting here doing stuff. But howdy.
Jumping in from Utah. Appreciate it. And we've got people watching the show. We run this show technically on YouTube because of tradition and custom, but neither one of which are a reason to do anything. So YouTube is a dying, dead corpse of a horrible institution run by scoundrels. So we're going to be moving this over to GunTube at some point, and I'm almost willing to say sooner than later. Everything I do on GunTube, except for upload, is fast and quick and awesome, and YouTube is just always more of a jerk every day. So we do run it on YouTube, and we got 8 people watching over there. For some reason, when we scold people for using the service, they don't show up and watch the show. But we do have a rebroadcast or simulcast over onto gun channels where we're watching a bunch of people over there with green dots who are watching the show. Relativity, and I don't seem to be the only one saying anything, so we appreciate that. Second Amendment Monday. We're going to be dealing with a gun shop in Arizona. We're going to be talking about the movie Tombstone and some other things. Before we dig in, is there anything happened over the weekend anybody wants to chat about?
Nothing here.
I think that a Utah Gun Exchange might have changed their name to United Gun Exchange now, or for YouTube, like United Gun Exchange. So I see that they've changed it on several of their social media sites from Utah Gun Exchange to United Gun Exchange. I'm not sure what that's all about, but maybe just to make people think it's not just for people in Utah.
I guess that's interesting, but I've got secrets about UTG tube that I could tell people off air that happened over the weekend. So actually, I've got two whole separate sets of secrets from Huge Tube. So
wait, they didn't invite you to fly out too, did they?
To some freedom
for their Make America, like their freedom tour that they're doing.
Well,
I got an email that invited me to fly out and join them on their freedom tour.
Yeah, it's all kinds of fun stuff happening over the weekend. But it's neat to see that this is an interesting time to be on the internet. Neat to see the new platforms doing their thing. I think I have cancer. Okay, not be distracted by my cancer, and I'll keep going. So, will anything else happen over the weekend that we want to dig into?
Not locally here. I did hear some interesting news, like sort of 2A news stories over the weekend.
Well, first I'll say the letter T, and I'll say again the letter T. And then what were these news stories we're talking about?
Did you hear about the IKEA news story? The little kid who found a gun inside IKEA?
Just from what you mentioned off the air there. So this is from what part of the country again?
Indiana, I believe. Apparently, a little kid was sitting on a couch inside of an IKEA in Indiana and found a gun inside the couch cushions and then accidentally, fired it off. And authorities are investigating it, trying to track down the owner of the gun and stuff. I don't think anyone was injured or hurt, but, kind of a scary experience. I think obviously someone probably sat on that couch and then lost their CCW and then forgot, didn't realize where they lost it at,
Well, you said that it's not necessarily obvious. Because what if somebody had their purse or whatever sitting there, and they had their kid sitting there, and they were talking to somebody, and the kid was playing around, and or let's say it dropped out of a purse. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily negligence. I think it could be influence of all kinds of stuff, because that's why people lose things. It's not always because you're just careless, I guess, as I should say. I guess it is negligence, but it might not just be from carelessness or something. It could be because unintentionally, without ill will, somebody was working against them. Like say a kid was fiddling with something, or somebody went to grab a notebook out of somewhere, and then and maybe that happened where the couch was made or brought from,
or the couch may have been returned to the store.
There you go. So that's a possibility. To jump straight to careless gun owners, because that's sort of I found trash in the desert. Careless shooters reckless shooters who don't care. No, because sometimes assholes drop trash in the desert. It's not always shooters. So I guess this was a gun, of course, but it's not always a CCW who's responsible, I guess. So yeah, what if it was a couch thing? And again, some dog was running around, picked up a CCW gun, person's looking all over for it. In fact, they're so desperate they had to go buy another gun, and that they had to sell their couch to pay for that other gun.
No, I agree. It definitely might not have been negligence. I just think that's probably the most probable explanation. That doesn't mean that's what it is, but I just could easily see that, having a CCW gun on you, sitting in a couch in IKEA while your wife's shopping or whatever, and then, it falls out and you don't realize it until you get home, and then you can't, you don't know where you lost it at, right? And for all we know, the guy could have called the police. He could have done everything right, reported his gun missing. We don't know all that yet, so it's still a upcoming story, and we don't have the details yet, but I'm sure we soon will. And then the only other real big story I can think of is just I've been reading about this stuff about banks not giving gun manufacturers and 2A businesses loans anymore and discriminating against them, basically.
I can tell you that's a huge thing. A lot of holster makers that I personally know are going through that, where they, they can't get business loans, or their banks don't want to do banking with them. Their website hosts don't want to host them. You can't get a Facebook ad approved, shit like that. So that's totally a thing.
Yeah, and I'm trying to wonder how they get away with it, because can they discriminate against just what type of business you're in? I mean, is that like
a bank's a private business, right?
Yeah, they are. I guess they are, but they're not just discriminating against one business, right? Like they're discriminating against the entire line of businesses. So I just
yeah, I mean the ones they like catch on to, but it's just like the whole the pot shops. So like Colorado and California, there's a huge thing where these people can't have bank accounts. Like they don't get credit card processing and stuff like that because of their business. So they're kind of doing that to the firearms industry now, which is, I mean, these are legitimate businesses, whether you like it or not. The weed thing, I mean, it's legal here in California, but they can't get a bank. And then, they want to treat gun shops like that. And that's, guns are big commerce, and they're legal businesses. There's nothing illegal against it. They just don't want to do it.
Now, is there a way to fight that? Is there some kind of appeal, or could a bank be sued for discrimination? Like if you have good credit and everything, and like you would have been able to get that same loan you wanted last year, but now, because of our political climate and stuff, now they're being discriminated against openly, pretty much. They're not even hiding it. Like they're not doing it under the cover of darkness. They pretty much come right out and saying like, oh yeah, we're not going to give any loans to 2A businesses, right? So is there a possibility that there could be a recourse for that action, that we could sue them, or take a bank to court for something like that, for discrimination?
I mean, that's kind of a gray area, because the bank, they're under their own discretion on who they do business with. There's not a law that says this bank has to take you on as a customer and has to deal with your shit. So, I mean, I guess somebody could do a class action on it, and like you'd really have to like get a dedicated lawyer who's willing to, pound sand a whole bunch to get anywhere. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty much a gray area. But I mean, it sucks. It sucks for all the businesses they do that to. I know a lot of like porn. I think they have that issue a little bit too. But they're making, so it's like drugs, porn, and guns are like too taboo for banks. But that actually makes a whole additional layer of problems, because so these kind of businesses, I mean, a lot of people buy guns and stuff. There's a lot of money there. The pot shops, a lot of money there. These people have to deal all in cash. So that makes them more susceptible to like robberies and shit, right? Because
it does. Yeah, because if your business can only take cash, then yeah, like criminals are going to know that. They're going to figure that out pretty quick.
Gun shops go to gun shows. That's the only place they're legally able to do business besides their physical location since 1968 and all those stupid rules. I think it was 68. But anyway, when they go to gun shows, you don't think they've got pockets full of cash? They're potentially buying guns off of people that are worth hundreds, thousands of dollars. They've been selling guns that are worth thousands, maybe hundreds of dollars, multiple guns worth hundreds. And there's no bank ATM type of thing where you can deposit money at a gun show. So pretty much every gun show that's ever happened has at least dozens, if not hundreds of people walking out, sometimes elderly couples with so much cash in their possession that they would be ripe for the picking. Oh, wait a minute. They also are armed, and it's never been an issue. So I don't. I mean, I don't want to see the firearms industry go to all cash. But on the other hand, I don't want to see banks told what to do. If they want to fail by taking a segment of the population or a segment of the community that's firearms and kick us to the curb, and that'll just let, Bank of 2A America, BO2A, start
Well,
up.
one thing I've seen, G-Webs, I don't know if you've noticed it, but I've noticed it on websites like Strike Industries, one of my favorite gun companies. They now accept Bitcoin, and I've seen that on several different gun type websites and stuff that sell gun supplies, that they're now accepting Bitcoin. So, do you think that's an actual realistic alternative that might become a real thing, and might even help Bitcoin out? Like if an entire industry starts using that?
I don't think so. It'll take a little while for people are accustomed to that kind of currency, whatever form it takes. But it took a while for people to get used to paper bills, and it took people time to get used to pennies that weren't made out of copper and dimes that weren't made out of silver, and it took people time to use any kind of fiat currency. So I imagine we'll keep evolving with currency like we do with everything else. So again, bring it. If banks don't want to work with gun owners, then they probably don't want to work with gay people, and they probably don't want to work with other risky things like health. I mean, they just want to work with safe, stupid stuff. Then let them go out of business. Because, like you say, there is other currencies already, and they're literally built back in the days when you had to walk up and they had to have a vault. You know what I mean? Like, there's still a need for having a vault for certain physical things. You know what I mean? The act of banking is hardly proprietary to them old giant facilities or whatever. So evolve. I don't know. This is beyond gun stuff as far as the banking side, but I don't know. I'm guessing Trump is one of the better presidents, or one of the more familiar with that industry, at least when he talks about finance and banking. I would assume he's got some experience with it other than theoretical book learning.
Well, yeah, and there's the whole. So what you were saying, if they don't want the business, then let them go out of business. And I totally agree with that, because it's kind of like that gay cake thing, right? Where everyone's all pissed off at this bakery. They don't want to make the gay cake. And then the gay people are feelings hurt or whatever, and they, are crying about it. I mean, look, if someone doesn't want your business, then shit. Don't force it on them. Go somewhere else. Go somewhere that supports you and, supports what you do and what you stand for and what you believe or whatever.
Who wants to eat cake made by someone who you had to force to make your cake?
Dude, right? And then on the other hand, do these people not like money because they were totally going to pay you money for a cake, and that's...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, voting with your wallet works both effing ways. I don't have a big fancy car and my van that I'd rather have, and all the time in the world to travel to these gun shops, because I don't take money from people who would throw money at me, because I'm not going to do business in just any way because somebody can make a quick buck. No. So yeah, I think it's definitely, you got the right to say no. And if even I think you have a right to make a financially poor decision because you have a moral decision, or you have a strategic long-term direction that you're taking something, and just because somebody's there with a pile of cash, that don't make it business sense or right or the way to go. Hell no.
Yeah, it's just so, I mean, the cake thing's kind of like, who wants, like you said, who wants to eat cake for someone who didn't want to make it? But anyway, my point is with the banking thing, I mean, there's like PayPal is anti-2A. I personally had like 1 billion interactions with them over 2A shit. So, move to another card processor. There's one called Stripe, I think, and they're Second Amendment friendly. So for any gun shops who are having problems getting cards processed, check out, I think it's called Stripe or Strip or Star or something with an S. But they're 2A friendly. So, they will take your business if you're a gun shop, and they support gun shops. And Yes, I mean, there's alternatives. There's people who do want your business and who don't have a problem with what you're doing for,
Well,
whatever.
and there's ways to fight back against that. Like I've had interactions with PayPal over 2A stuff and them, giving the seller back, or the back their or the buyer back their money from me and stuff like that, and over a 2A item. And so now I stick it to them because I have, like if you have a PayPal account, you can get one of those PayPal debit, like MasterCard type, thingies, right?
Right.
You can transfer money from your bank account to PayPal. And then if you use that card as a credit card, you get 1% cash back. And then sometimes they have special days where you can get more than that, like 5% cash back. So if there's something I want and I don't necessarily need it right away, I am more than happy to transfer that money to my PayPal, then use that PayPal card to purchase that item, and then get my 1% back, which basically PayPal is paying for 1% of my gun purchases or gun item purchases that way. So, I try and stick it to them that way. Stick it to the man, so to speak.
Stick it to the man. Yeah, they, I mean, I've gotten an email from them like, please explain the actual meaning of fuck ISIS. And I was like, all right, well, if you don't know, then I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, I mean, progressing with the show. So where do we go from here? Where are we? Monday? We don't
I
have
have all my pages here, so I'm turning everything back on. But I did notice it must be a typo. Relativity saying I actually don't like cake, and then he says this other typo: pie, please. That's crazy talk there.
I don't really like cake either, but
Whatever. So I lost my thing. I'm having to find my notes over here. We have a member of the day. Every day we like to feature a member. Somebody over on the gun channels, perhaps. Somebody who's active in the Second Amendment content creation community. And today it's Gary Gizzard, or Gizzard Gary, I guess, is the correct pronunciation. And again, I used a bunch of people's names that were in the chat, whatever night it was that I started this list, and Gary was in there. I was often watching the shows. He participates in quite a few of the shows out there. He was a co-host of our show, I think, on Friday. So, yeah, Gary, doing all kinds of cool stuff. And I've mentioned it before, but I'm especially impressed with the photos he got at the Tulsa, because he came out of nowhere with them, I think, and it just blew me away because he's not necessarily like a Moon where he's always out there honing his craft of photography or whatever. I mean, I guess he's taking photos and I've just never noticed them, but when he did that one quick video of the engraving of those tables, or that guy's table of engravings, there's just a great little interview and just the photograph filmography. I don't know what the word would be, photography. Just the clarity of the engravings and stuff was great. So awesome. Like that video. I liked the other stuff he's been putting out since. So thanks for going to Tulsa and being part of the Gun Channels group there, and for all the just time you hang out and make Gun Channels what it is. Appreciate it.
yeah, Gary's awesome. Have you ever seen his cat?
Yes.
Yeah, I really like his cat. That's not the best part about Gary, but it's definitely one of the top 5.
You have a list of things that are good about Gary?
I do. It's actually like 15 things long. That's another show, though. But what about you, Dead Horse? Any words about Gary?
I've watched his live stream several times. I've caught several of his shows, and they always seem to have really good conversations. And unlike some other shows like mine and stuff, like they seem to stay on topic and have good rational discussions, and I really enjoy it. Definitely, I can sit there and listen to a show and get a lot of work and stuff done, and it just and not only just him, but a lot of the people he has on his show too are just he puts together a really really good show.
He does. So That's Gary. Gary is the tactical. No, you're not tactical. You're just a member of the day.
Got 2-3 people left in this list. So for episode 600, we need somebody spectacular because it's episode 600. We also need other people, suggestions for other people for members of the day, since that list of people I came up with the other day is running out. So if you've got them, somebody to recommend, or a series of people, or a group of people, or something, please do. Our email address is dailygunshow@gmail.com. And it's always better when somebody else fills out our slots of our show for us. And we will move into something else. So since it's Monday, I like to talk about behind the scenes. And I've been, well, last week I was going to do the two-way workshop, and something happened, and I took the day off from that, and didn't see much response other than, oh, I can't do it at that time. And then when I asked what time they could do it, nobody responded. So I'm thinking about doing another one of the two-way workshops. And I would like to find a time that we can consistently do one that hopefully more than a couple of people can attend. And I think one of the keys to success on a series or an effort like that over time would be consistent time frame. And we know that midnight Eastern ain't going to work because nobody shows up this late. So if we can do that sometime during prime time or before, I'm willing. But I would like to start doing a two-way workshop. And I'm going to put the word out there for anybody that's only marginally interested. Consider helping out to get the ball rolling, because me just sitting there is not going to work. I don't like dancing, so I don't have anything to say to just the world. So if we can answer questions, I'm happy to get started with answering whatever questions people might have. But my goal would be to get people more involved with creating content. So removing some of the barriers, technical stuff, like how do you start, where do you start, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about a lot of things, a little, effort daily, effort weekly, and answer just any kind of questions people might have, and ideally see more people utilizing all these different platforms and tools that we have on our phones and on our computers and stuff, so that just more and more people are aware of what the Second Amendment really is. We get a more and more nuanced version or perception of the Second Amendment out there. So anyway, if anybody's interested in seeing that continue to happen, or at least grow or start, whatever you want to say, then get with me either on gun channels or in the live chats, and we'll get started. We were just talking earlier to, what the hell was it in the chat earlier today? I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Snowy. It was somebody though that was earlier in one of the chats right before I had to jump out, and we had talked about he was talking to fellow teachers and what types of strategies were efficient in trying to not change their mind, but lay down some questions, I guess, so that they'd have to at least challenge their positions on anti-gun stuff. And again, part of the 2A project, or part of the Minuteman University, is communication. So we'll continue to effort on that, and I'm looking for people's input and hopefully participation. And that's enough of behind the scenes, I guess, for today. We can move into one of the other topics, I guess. I didn't have to. I accidentally shut down GunTube. That was a mistake. So now I had to start from the beginning. I'm only about 2/3 of the way re-uploading that damn video. So still waiting for that to happen.
All right. Well, while you're doing that, what about gun shop of the day?
We do have a gun shop. One of the reasons we're doing the show on the daily, right, is to talk about gun shops. So let's see, it's called True Guns, and it's in Arizona. This is one that Jimmy and I visited when he lived out in Western Phoenix. Oh, look, I even have pictures up. So a couple of pictures over on the Gun Shop Guide. That's the website we use to archive all the different shops that we visited. This one's an interesting one. You can see in this picture that they're in a strip center, right? And it's next to a pet grooming place. And they took that slot because I think they're either the landlords or they own the strip center. And they're at least the landlords, they represent whoever owns it to the tenants. And nobody wanted to be next to the pet groomers because there's always dogs over there whining and screaming because they're getting bats. So they took this shop. So it's kind of a fun shop if you don't mind dogs screaming and yelling next door. Those of us that are used to dogs don't even think of that, don't even hear that really. It's like, I don't know, probably moms listening to kids. You just kind of tune it out. I imagine somebody who isn't around dogs often would be annoyed that there's dog noises next door. But anyway, that's sort of an interesting thing about it. And because they're the whatever in charge of this whole area, they close off the parking lot and have like a big parking lot event once a year. From what I understand, it's sort of a thank you to their customers and like a parking lot sale. They bring in all the different manufacturers, I imagine. I know that they have giveaways and they bring in food trucks, he said, and just feed everybody. So it's neat when gun shops figure out ways to do interesting stuff like that. Otherwise, they got the yellow pegboard, which kind of sets their shop aside. You remember it's that one that's got the yellow inside, and I think it works pretty good for contrasting with the guns, eh? So you can see, the guns. Otherwise, you get an idea how big it is. It's not the biggest shop in the world or anything, but
Was that a ladies section?
That's the ladies area for you girls who want.
Wow. Not often do you see a ladies area.
Well, and it says two ladies. So I don't know what that means.
So I mean, it's getting a little political. But what do they got there? Pepper sprays and stuff?
Yeah, they had Phoenix arms. So there you go. And then I think these were like skies or something. What are these? I don't know what these purple ones are.
Oh, these are part of the ladies section?
This is right underneath that where it says True Lady. Oh, because it's True Guns. That's why. So now that's why it says True Ladies. That makes sense.
Oh, okay. I mean,
so this is the display, and you see how there's these calming rocks, like little meditation rocks to calm you down. Oh, looking at guns, but there's some calming rocks and placemats. So you get calmed down, and then you look up, and then of course you see your purses and your pepper sprays.
Oh, look, you got some pink ear pro.
Yep.
There's a model there that has dude hair, but there's boobs. So, all right. Well, that's very nice.
At least
those CCW purses are a great idea, I think.
Yeah, and this is way the hell out.
Carry one?
This is way out west in Phoenix, so this is like a lot of, from what I understand, it's a lot of what do you call them? Snowbirds, people that live up north and come down, and they're older people. So I'm guessing this is potentially more for the people who live in that area. I am assuming, because there's not that many of them, and I don't know.
I mean, it's nice to see that they have a little welcoming area. That's not very typical, so
I've never seen like a little a woman's corner in a gun shop before. Like, hey, these are ladies' items only. I've never seen that before at any of my gun shops I've ever been.
So if it's about, let's say 100 in the last little while, so 60 last year, and then some others. So let's say out of 100 gun shops, I'm guessing, in my estimation, 30% have a section specifically for the ladies. And I would say of those, out of 100 gun shops, 5 of them, just from my knowledge of being a woman, would have been appropriate. Like the rest of them are kind of like, okay, thanks for the section, but don't mansplain girls' guns to me. Like a couple of them were like shops run by ladies, and you could just tell like these are actual purses that a girl might want, and like guns that are useful, and then not necessarily pink. And then there's a lot of sections that are just like everything pink in the store gets put in that corner, and they don't put a lot of effort into buying stuff. If they make a pink version and they can afford it, they buy it and put it in that corner. So it's kind of like an accumulation more than a hand-picked selection.
Yeah, that looks, I mean, and they have it all dressed up nice, and there's like little Hobby Lobby crate things that make me want to, I don't know, have tea with like my pinky up and then buy a pink gun. Well,
and maybe one of their wives or something set up that section.
Probably, yes. That's what I would imagine. It looks nice, but yeah, that's nice to see. I've never seen that. Like, also like Dead Horse, I've never seen that. So
I went to Top Gun Shooting Sports, yeah, but not in Romulus. We went to the one that's south of Detroit.
All right, so what do we got next?
If there's more than one Top Gun, then I don't know. Let's see if it's uploaded. I don't know if it's uploaded or not, so I'm going to have to reopen GunTube. I'm not yet familiar with it enough. So why don't we go into, did we have a movie of the day?
Tombstone, I thought you said, right?
Oh yeah, something about Tombstone, thanks. So Tombstone's movie, 25th reunion. Let's see what's going on with that. I think that's the 30th. Double check. That's just a link, Clover. I didn't know if you wanted to jump in or not. Looks like the 30th of this month is the 25th anniversary of the movie. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and I guess we're talking about it today.
And you posted some stuff on the page about that reunion. There's going to be actual people from the movie going there and stuff that you could go and meet and get autographs from and stuff like that.
Right, that's the reunion part. Yeah, they're going to go to Tombstone, Arizona, and be there, and just watch the movie in that haunted movie theater. Unless they're going to play it out of the street. They might play it out of the street.
Maybe like a reenactment. That'd be cool.
Oh, I don't think they'll do a reacting, but yeah, that would be interesting. I don't know. They actually say what they're going to do on there. I didn't pay that much attention. I know it's like a bunch of free stuff during the day, and then there's some something that's happening in the evening. Well, see, I don't know when I upload something to GunTube, like how soon it's supposed to show up. So once again, I spent all this time uploading to GunTube, and it says that it's up there, but I don't know if it takes time to render or whatever. So maybe we'll go back over to GunStreamer. But I was going to try to show this video that I made in Match Chat a minute ago. Oh, free GunStreamer commercial because they stuck in front of my video. But they're letting people know there's an app for that. I don't know if this is working or if it's not working. Is it playing?
I don't see it playing. It just looks like a picture to me of Angry.
Yeah. So download the file, media arrow. Format not supported. All right. Well, I guess it didn't upload there after all. Wah, wah. All right, well, that was a failed experiment in uploading stuff for the show during the show. So we'll move along. I'll close out of GunTube also. What else do we got? What time is it? 40?
So we're on iTunes. So if you have an iPhone, you should totally go to iTunes and leave a review and listen.
Yep, we appreciate people that are doing that. And have we been over there to see if there's more? I think it was like 6 last time. It is now 8. So thank you for that. People that did jump over there and give us a rating and hopefully a review. It's annoying even to go check it. We really have to have iTunes installed. And that's annoying because it's an invasive program. So we do appreciate people that take the time, even if you just did it like once a month, to monitor the different stuff that's out there. Maybe install it, favorite whatever pages up there are new or interesting to you, and then download some stuff and then uninstall it.
Or live the iLife and keep it.
No, nobody wants to do that. Maybe people with iDevices. I'm sure it works fine on iStuff.
Yeah, it works really good.
On regular computers, though, it just sits there wanting to always be in the way. So it's a really annoying program. Speaking of annoying things, today's the anniversary. Well, it's not actually the transition. Today's the anniversary of the beginning of the Korean War. So I don't know why they call it a war. It's a police conflict. But this was, I guess, the beginning of it. So this is when the commies decided to just start stepping south, bullying people, taking over, invading.
Well, and now, did you see the remains? We received like 100 caskets today or something.
That's pretty cool. That was something that would not have happened if they didn't actually talk, I guess, because I guess they would have had no interest in just giving them to us. It kind of sucks that they've had them there and they knew it and they just didn't give them to us. But for the sake of the families and the soldiers, I guess, you're in and take it and allow those people to... I don't know.
Was that a purchase?
Identified? Is that me or is that somebody else?
That's you.
Stupid history page. Were they identified remains or were they just all unknown?
I'm not sure. I saw the only thing I saw. I didn't get a chance to read the article. Was the North Korean army carrying these like silver-looking strongbox casket things, and it looked like they were passing them over the DMZ to some sort of like honor guard, maybe for the U.S. Pretty cool picture. So I mean that's cool because that's some good closure for families and of our soldiers who have been, I guess.
Now, you said that they gave 100. That sounds like a kind of a weird number. Exactly 100. So does that mean that they might have more and they're just like starting out with that?
That was just the headline. So it might have been like hundreds or something. That was just the headline.
All right, before this thing pops another ad on me, 1804, and I'm going to put this out there. We need to have some email for this because this history thing is interesting, but this site is just killing me with ads, and I'm sick of opening it. So give us some feedback in the emails or in the comments about whether or not the piece of history or this day in history is worth continuing, because I'm sick of fighting these ads. The whole time here, I'm fighting these damn ads, and if you have a better history site, let me know. 1804, though, Lewis and Clark reaches the mouth of the Kansas River after completing the westward trek. But that's going to be more interesting. A bunch of stuff happened before that. 1863, some guy and his Confederate forces move into Gettysburg. The mutes obviously don't work. All right, things happened in history.
Things happened. It happened. Here we are.
Hellcat fighter flew for the first time. UN Charter is signed by 50 nations in California in 1945. In 1951, the Soviet Union proposes a ceasefire, so that's interesting because you go at the beginning and then later the end of the war. This is the date in 1963 that Kennedy said, "Ich bin ein Berliner." Whatever the hell. I am a donut. And then there was something else in here. Some guy, Middleton, who signed the Declaration of Independence, was born today. Messerschmitt.
Today's the day that barbed wire was patented.
What?
So barbed wire, that was a big thing. I don't know, like a lot of people might not think that was a big thing, but barbed wire was huge. It was such a big deal and affected our history so much. Like that was actually a really, really big deal.
Well, that's pickle. That's why we're asking for the favor of creating an iTunes account. It doesn't cost anything. It just takes time and effort. You got to have an email address, I guess. But you create an iTunes account. Go check it out. If you like the show, thumb it up. I encourage you to check out other shows while you're there and thumb them up and give them some comments so that gun owners and Second Amendment podcasts get some love over on iTunes. And then uninstall it. So we're asking you to create an iTunes account for a while as a favor. And then we're quite confident that people like Angelina that like Apple devices and enjoy iTunes because it works perfectly for them will discover our show and continue on doing that. We won't have to bug people that don't have it. But that's why we're asking for that favor. Because right now it's just not happening because everybody says, oh, somebody else will do it. And then they go, oh, I wonder why another effort disappears after 596 episodes because they lose faith because of their iTunes. We were about to do 600 episodes, but because of the lack of iTunes comments, we're going to give up.
Yeah, I mean, we're totally well. But anyway, to follow up on that North Korean thing I was just saying, because I'm looking at the article now. So it was 158 metal transfer cases. So I don't know how many people are in each case, but they don't know who's in them. They don't know if it's U.S. or allied service members. And 7,700 troops are still unaccounted for in North Korea.
How many? 7,000?
So, yep, 7,700, close to 7,700 U.S. troops remain unaccounted for from the Korean War. And
Okay,
about 5,300 of those were lost to North Korea.
but that doesn't mean that they have them and are holding them in some sort of reason. It just means that that's
No, yeah, right.
what happened
But
to.
that just means, we don't know where those people are. And then before this, the last time any remains were given was in 2007.
Well, it's still messed up that they've got any. I guess it's because they're discovering them. And then I don't know what they're doing to discover if it's one of theirs or one of the allies. But what I do know is I suspect at least our DNA stuff is way better than theirs. And we have the descendants and whatnot of those people. So once we've got remains, I bet you we can do a better job of identifying them. And that's got to bring peace of mind to people who are dealing with all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's sort of a somber thought, but it is the beginning of the war, so it's timely, and I'll guess wager and not too many other sources are out there talking about that kind of stuff today, so we're giving you something different. So I'm just going to go straight to the source. This is a video that I'll just play here. I can't, right, I use that video or that audio from Angry's recommendation, but I figured out the Adobe software to do the sped up stuff, and I've been enjoying these, especially enjoying it over on GunTube because I can put real music behind it, and it's not effortless, but this way I can do like this thing, for example. I did the cartoon while we were in the show, having the chat, and then I was able to record the screen while I was doing it, and then put the recordings of me drawing it on Adobe and then speed it up 2,000 times. So this is 2,000 times faster than it took. So it takes that 2 hours or something of drawing and turns it into 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Right.
And just throw an audio down next to it, and it's kind of neat. So this is Angry's platypus that's so upset. But instead of just having that weak AR-15, we went ahead and gave them an upgrade, and then stuck it on Arizona shape, and then putting it over on the Gun Channel's comic thing so people can play with it and whatnot. So Angry is one of the members of the day, and back when we were doing the tactical pop quizzes all the time, one of our, well, I think our most won.
I liked wind.
So it started out with that little AR, but we gave him a stinger. So the rest of this video is just me making a stinger for like an hour. So anyway, we don't need to keep talking about it, but I'll just let it keep playing there. And again, thanks Angry for participating and supporting. Angry's one of the people that pays for gun channels to exist. So I appreciate that even more than just people that participate, only because we got to pay bills. So anyhow, having fun with the software, and thanks to the Patreon people who make it possible. And of course, Edge and Pink, who wouldn't be able to do any of this without those two guys.
I noticed that Angry changed his name on Instagram.
What?
Angry changed his name on Instagram. He actually has the platypus in his name now.
Because he's in a health food cult now, so he has to do it.
I'm impressed, dude. That guy, like, I'm really impressed. I've even commented several times on his Instagram that he's just doing a great job. About, I don't know if any of you guys have kept up on his fitness stuff and him getting in shape and getting healthy, but he, very, very impressive.
Let's see. So, did we talk about Tombstone? Anybody ever see Tombstone? Angelina, have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't. I've not seen it.
Dead Horse, Tombstone.
I've seen it probably 100 times.
I've seen it a bunch of times. It's not my favorite Tombstone movie. There's other Tombstone movies, but I don't dislike it. It's certainly like a lot of one-liners come from that movie that people use all the time.
It's definitely my favorite Val Kilmer movie. I'll tell you that much. Like I think it's the best performance Val Kilmer's ever done, and Michael Biehn. Like I didn't even know Michael Biehn was in that movie, and he played Johnny. Like I didn't even know that for the longest time until just a couple weeks ago. I never put that together. That was actually that Michael Biehn guy from all the Navy SEALs and stuff like that, aliens and stuff.
All right.
Yeah,
I like the movie, but I like listening to Emil. It's going to be coming up on his birthday on the 4th. Him and the old guys used to sit around talking about it on Voices of the West. And I think I tend to agree with them. There's lots of versions of Tombstone and the story of the shootout at the OK Corral, and some of them were more historic than others. The Tombstone movie was a good movie and everything, and it's fine representation of the West End, but it's not 100% accurate. And some of them, I think I prefer the more accurate ones, just because they're not so cut and dry. Who's the good guys and bad guys, just like real life. But to do justice there, you got to go back and listen to a couple of podcasts from Voices of the West to get a lot more insight on that. I think they have that available still on their website, voicesofthewest.com.
Has anyone taken that over, G-Webs?
Yeah, his co-host is still running the show, so it's just a different show now. But the other hosts are still there, and the people that are still alive, they're still interviewing, and those guys are still as interested than ever in the guns and the music and the actors and the stories and the setting, whatever you call like the locations of all those old movies.
That's probably one of the best shows I've ever listened to, honestly. I mean, I've really, every time I've listened to that show, I've really, really enjoyed it.
So we talked about a lot of stuff today. We're getting towards the end of the show. We like to wrap. We talked for about an hour. We put this up on iTunes, like Angelina's talked about. So we've been trying to keep it an hour-ish for people that are listening to podcast level stuff. If you're interested in more longer format chats, though, Gun Channels is a community we built going on 5 years ago now, and there's live conversations all day long. We start out the mornings with Early Watch, where we look at the news of the day. The Early Watch Nation is a bunch of individuals who gather on Second Amendment related news. They send it in to Tony and Jimmy at earlywatchil@gmail.com is Tony's address. He'll go through there, and an Early Watch will talk about the various news that's been coming in. We'll post that over on Every Second Matters where it's appropriate, either on the state or on the individual initiative. Tony's in Illinois, so he's been paying attention to the counties in Illinois. There's about 100 counties in Illinois. And something like the last count I heard was 15 of them had already become firearm sanctuary cities, where they use that same terminology of sanctuary city for the idea that the local law enforcement is not going to enforce the state level laws that are infringing on firearms ownership. And a bunch of the counties have stood up to Cook County, the county where Chicago's in, and his county is actually talking about putting that on the ballot to offer up for the voters to make a stand on. So I'm digging that. We're paying attention to that, and hopefully since the beginning of the month here, we'll see a bunch of more states come on board. Our goal, of course, is to see every county in Illinois stand up and say no to those infringements. That's just one of the things we check out on Early Watch. After that, long format show run by Mr. Knives is usually running. Literally 16 hours of the day over there, so you can jump in and have a conversation. Moon, Pawnery, others will jump in. Rick jumps in from Rhode Island. DB will jump in occasionally. Regulars will jump in and have chats during their breaks or during time they've got some downtime or if they have a day off. You never know what kind of crazy, exciting fun is going to be over there. Once you get into the afternoon on the East Coast, you start to see the live show start up. Tuesday is what do we got on Tuesdays? Ghost starts it off, I think, still. And then we've got Smeggy and Night Strike doing their show. Andalusia Armory is on a temporary break. And I'm missing Ellis's show. He starts out the day, I guess, with Outlaw, or Hanging with the Outlaw. Then comes Ghost, and then Hit or Miss. Rick's Big Gunners show is on after Hit or Miss, and then we show up again at midnight Eastern for another episode. On Tuesdays, we talk about the Second Amendment. Do we have anything listed tomorrow? We're going to talk about the Second Amendment Foundation. We're going to talk about Neil Knox, and we're going to talk about the 10th anniversary of something tomorrow. So if anybody's in the DC area, tomorrow's the day to go down to the Supreme Court, listen to Dick Heller and some others, Second Amendment advocates, do some speeches and have some gathering. And then in the evening, there's some sort of invite-only $100 ticket type speaking events that hopefully we'll all see either broadcast live or at least after the fact. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow, 10th anniversary of the Heller decision. I think that's about it. Do we have any quotes or anything tonight?
Nope, not for me. Dead horse?
Oh, well, before I give a quote, I would like to say this one thing, if I could, to you, Webs.
Sure.
That over at Brownells right now, if you use code MCP, you get free shipping on anything you purchase over $49, and you can stop by Gun Channels on your way over there. Click on the Brownells link, and then it doesn't cost you any more money, but Gun Channels gets a little kickback on anything you purchase over there. And Brownells has a Lee Loadall 2 for $52 shipped right now. So you can load your 12 gauge or 20 gauge or 16 gauge shotgun rounds and start experimenting with shotgun rounds. I bought one yesterday from Brownells. I used the Gun Channels link, so I'm really excited for that to come and start experimenting on reloading. I've never reloaded shotgun rounds before, so I'm looking forward to that. And also, right now, you could stop by Gun Channels and click on the Palmetto State Armory link, and they have 224 Valkyrie uppers on sale over there for $350 right now. A complete upper with BCG and charging handle, the new hottest caliber, the 224 Valkyrie. That upper usually goes for about $560. It is a blem, but they have blems on sale for $349 right now, and you could stop by Gun Channels, support Gun Channels, and get the newest, hottest caliber. That's out.
Awesome, dude.
And then my quote would be, again, from Jeff Cooper, is safety is something that happens between your ears, not something you hold in your hands.
Okay, well, let me mess up the whole rhythm of the end of the show. We did get one. Hold on. I had to fake that one. We did get one purchased during the show. I really do appreciate that. And we'll be sending out a copy of the Gun Channels comic, the DIY comic with that, or at least a couple of pages. It takes forever to print the whole thing. It's 12 pages long plus covers, but we'll print out the cover and a couple of pages for you. Do appreciate the support, and I ruined your quote, so if you want to do the quote again.
Okay, Jeff Cooper, he says that safety is something that happens between your ears, not something you hold in your hands.
The guys and gals of GunWebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching GunWebsites.com.